Have you ever found yourself lying awake at, say, 2 a.m., your mind racing about a client interaction from 3 days ago? Or maybe you've caught yourself obsessing over whether that piece of content you put out is actually getting the response you hoped for. What if I told you that the very thing keeping you stuck in this cycle of mental exhaustion is actually robbing you of both peace of mind and business growth? Here's the truth most solopreneurs won't admit. We're energy vampires to ourselves. And if you don't learn to manage the energy flow, both giving and receiving, then you'll burn out before you ever reach the impact that you're meant to create. Discover how two simple tattoos on my forearms became the operating system that transformed not just my energy, but my approach to entrepreneurship. Stay with me. Ready to break free from the solopreneur struggle. This is the Ease and Impact Thriving as a Solopreneur podcast. I'm Frankie J, a surfer, a mum, and an 8-year solopreneur myself. Join me as I peel back the layers to a thriving online business without the guru hype or the burnout. I'm going to show you the proven strategies and tools that I use so you can build a sustainable digital business without sacrificing your well-being. Let's get you thriving as a solopreneur. Welcome to Ease and Impact, the podcast for solopreneurs who refuse to choose between building a thriving business and maintaining their sanity. I'm your host, Frankie J, and this is your weekly dose of practical wisdom for the solo business journey wherever you're at right now. So before we dive in, if this resonates with you, hit that follow button. Trust me, your future self will thank you when these insights start shifting how you show up in both your life and your business. So by the end of today's episode, you're going to understand that your relationship with giving and receiving isn't just some fluffy mindset concept. And just by listening today, I believe that it will shift how you approach your client work, content creation, and yes, even how you handle money. More importantly, you're finally going to understand why your current approach to business might be draining you and how to flip that script starting today. This isn't about doing more, it's about flowing better. So when you master this flow, everything else becomes easier. Now, let me paint you a little bit of a picture. I have these tattoos on my arms that are there as a reminder for me of this concept. So on my right forearm, there's a tattoo of an open, kind of like sun rays extending outward, signifying energy flowing freely into the world. You're giving of your energy. Now, on the left side, I have more of what looks like a solid moon. So it's more complete, contained, like holds space. Now, these aren't just pretty designs. They're my daily reminder of how energy works, to give and forget, and to receive and remember. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds nice, but how does this actually help me stop working 10 hours a day or stop stressing about what happens next? See, most solopreneurs get this a bit backwards. We give and then we obsess. We receive and then we forget. It's like trying to breathe while holding your breath. It's exhausting and ultimately unsustainable. Here's where most of us go wrong with the idea of giving. We give our time, our energy, our expertise, and then we sit there like a puppy waiting for a treat or analyzing every micro response. So I used to give time to a client session, pour my heart into their breakthrough, and then spend the next 3 days wondering if I said the right thing, if they're implementing what we discussed, if they got value. Does that sound familiar? Or maybe you're like this. And I used to publish content and then refresh the analytics or check in to see, well, is anyone engaging? After giving your knowledge to the world, you then become a prisoner to the analytics. The truth is, when you give with attachment, you're not really giving at all. You're investing with hidden expectations. And here's the truth, knowingly or unknowingly, your clients and your audience, they can feel that energy. And it makes your giving feel more transactional rather than transformational. But what if there's a different way? What if you could give your absolute best and then completely let go? So I learned this lesson in the most unexpected of places, and that's giving money to someone experiencing what I believe was homelessness. I'd give, and then I'd watch, I'd hope, I'd wonder how they'd use it. Judging, analyzing, regretting. And one day I realized the moment I hand over that money, my part is done. What happens next isn't my business. That money has served its purpose in that moment. And the moment it leaves my hand. In giving, there should be no attachment to the outcome. You have no control over what that person does once the energy you've given has left you. Your coaching session, your content, your time, it's the same principle. Once you've given your best, your job is complete. What the other person does with it, well, that's between them and their journey. So let's talk about the receiving side of things. So here's where it gets kind of interesting, receiving and remembering. Now, most of us are terrible receivers. We rush through payments, dismiss compliments, forget to acknowledge the good things that come our way. But receiving and remembering doesn't mean you're, going to become a gratitude zombie or writing in your journal for 2 hours about this particular event every morning. It means just taking a moment, just a moment to really acknowledge what just happened. When a client pays you, instead of immediately thinking about the next sale, pause. Even feel maybe the weight of that transaction. How does it feel? Someone just exchanged their hard-earned money for your expertise. That's profound. When someone leaves a meaningful comment on your post, don't just heart it and move on. Let yourself actually receive that feedback. And to put it into business terms, it's data about your impact. And look, the remember part, it isn't about perfect memory. You won't remember every interaction forever, and it's not about that. But you'll remember the feeling of being someone who acknowledges abundance when it shows up. And this is very similar to what you may have heard about manifestation or the law of attraction, etc. When you become a better receiver, you become a magnet to more good things. When you truly acknowledge and appreciate what comes to you, you signal, to the universe, but also on a science side of things, your nervous system, that you're safe to receive more. But let's get practical. How does this actually change your day-to-day business? So giving and forgetting in business. This could look like you spend 2 hours creating the perfect email to your list. Once you hit send, you're done. No checking open rates every 5 minutes. Or you have an incredible breakthrough session with a client. You give everything you've got. And once the session ends, you trust that they are going to do what's right for them. Your job was to show up fully. Mission accomplished. You set boundaries around your time. So when you give your time to a task and it's time for bed, you stop. The task is done. And it'll be there tomorrow if it needs to continue to be worked on. Receiving and remembering. What does that look like in business? Well, when money hits your account, you pause. You acknowledge not just the number, but what it represents. Someone's trust in you. Your ability to create value. You're growing your business. When you receive feedback, criticism, or praise, you take a moment to really receive it before reacting and dismissing it. When opportunities come your way, you don't immediately think why you're not qualified. You receive the possibility first. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you I nail this 100% of the time. Last week I caught myself refreshing my Instagram after posting, old habits, they die hard. But that's why for me, I have this sentiment tattooed on my arms. Because sometimes we need reminding. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and get a tattoo, but hey, if that's your thing, absolutely. Maybe you can write the words give, forget, and underneath it, receive, remember. And put it in your office somewhere, next to your computer, on your wall. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about awareness. And every time you catch yourself giving with attachment or receiving without acknowledgement, you get to choose again. That awareness itself is the beginning of change. And the more you practice this flow, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more energy you have for what actually matters. Creating impact and building that business that serves your life, not the other way around. So here is your homework, if you're willing to take it on. For the next week, practice giving and forgetting one thing per day. Maybe it's a social media post. Maybe it's help you offer someone. Maybe it's quality time you give to a task. Give fully, then consciously let go. And practice receiving and remembering one thing per day. Maybe it's your morning coffee. I really love my morning coffee. Maybe it's a compliment. Maybe it's money that comes into your bank account. Take a moment to really acknowledge it. Now, I'd love to hear how this all lands for you. Drop your questions and your insights in the comments. Your sharing helps other solopreneurs on this journey too. Now, thanks for spending this time with me today. Remember, your business doesn't have to drain you to be successful. When you learn to flow with the energy instead of fighting against it, everything becomes easier. Until next time, keep creating that impact with ease.